Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Danielle if you're new, and I am a full-time reseller on Poshmark and Mercari. Today I have a highly requested video for you guys. I've had a ton of you ask how I keep track of my sales, my inventory, and kind of what I use. So today I'm going to show you guys exactly what I use and what spreadsheets I use to stay organized and keep track of all of my stuff. These spreadsheets are 100% made by myself. You can copy them if you want. I don't care. I made these just on Google Docs, I guess. So I made them all myself. Took me a little bit to kind of find what works best for me, but I've been using these specific spreadsheet formats for a couple years now, and they work great for me. If they don't work for you, that's fine too. Everyone's business is different, and what works for me won't work for you, and what works for you won't work for me. So that's kind of what I'm going to show you guys today, because a ton of you guys have requested this video. So if you are interested in seeing my spreadsheets and how I keep track of all of my inventory and sales, go ahead and keep watching. Alright, so I do have my laptop in front of me, and I am going to do some screen recordings to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about at certain points. Right now I just want to do kind of an overview of what spreadsheets I have. One of the spreadsheets I keep is the overall sales for the entire year, and this spreadsheet holds all my sales for the entire year, so I can keep track of gross and net and everything for an entire year. The next spreadsheet that I use is going to be an overall expenses spreadsheet. This spreadsheet keeps track of my expenses for an entire year. This spreadsheet keeps track of my materials, my miles driven, and then all of the inventory that I purchased for the year. The next spreadsheet I use is a monthly sales spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet is basically each month I keep track of my sales per month, and then they are inputted into the overall sales after that. And then the last and final spreadsheet I use is the inventory spreadsheet, which also has sub-tabs in it, which I will show you in just a minute. This is my most important spreadsheet because this keeps track of all the inventory I have. And currently I have 900 listed items in my Poshmark closet. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the screen recording now so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about, and I can show you guys kind of more a visual look at the spreadsheet. So this is the inventory sheet, which is the one I'm going to talk about first. And as you can see, column A is titled date. This is just the date that I got these items. I have items all the way back from 2019 just because it happens. The next column is B, which is the brand. I am a reseller that really bases most of my stuff on brands. So brand is extremely important. So that is my second column. And C, I then have an item description. Up here, my item descriptions are not that great because they're older items. If I kind of scroll down to the bottom here, they get a little better, and they're like, okay, this cloth and stone dress is the Live tie front mini dress. But if you go back up here, things are just kind of off the shoulder top. So you can see in 2019, I was not as good of a reseller as I am now, but that is the C column, which is entitled item description. I just described the item, and this is easy for me when I'm listing items, just so that I have exactly what I'm listing in front of me. Next up is column D, and this is labeled size. This is pretty straightforward. This is just the size of the item, whether it's shoes, clothes, whatever it is, this is just the size. Column E is the letter of the inventory bin that it's in. So A, B, C. I go all the way to R right now, so it's A through R. And then F goes along with that, it's inventory number. So when I'm going to pull inventory, it's going to say A761, and I will go get A761. And then the next three columns all go hand in hand with each other. The first one is length. The second column is pit to pit or waist if it's a pair of pants. And the third column is the sleeve length or the inseam if it's a pair of pants. So I believe that measurements are extremely important for your descriptions, and so I write down all the measurements of all my stuff. Very helpful, especially when listing. You know exactly what you're listing. I always have my laptop and this spreadsheet open when I'm listing, so this is extremely helpful. In column J, we then have price. This is just what I'm going to price the item at. And then I did have a column K for weight when I was doing eBay. I no longer am using really column K. I have kept it because I am starting up eBay again in the future. It hasn't happened yet, but I have started up that column again. I've just kind of kept it there. L is what I paid for the item. So You can see up here, I was not keeping track of that, and then as I go down the line, I'm keeping track of it more often. I just write how much I paid for the item because I like to share with you guys in my What's a Wednesday videos what I pay per item, and then it's for my brain as well because I like to see exactly what I pay per item, what I'm profiting, and if it was a good purchase or not. So in my inventory sheet, I have sub-tabs. And my first sub-tab down here is entitled eBay. This is where I really use the weight column, and this is just a spreadsheet that I have kept track of for me to start eBay. And as you can see, it's the same exact thing as the thrift store inventory sheet, but it's just stuff that I want to put on eBay, and it's really just self-explanatory. It's just stuff I want to eventually cross-list to eBay. Haven't gotten there yet, but in the future I will get there. My next sub-tab is entitled Jomar Palette. This is a tab specifically for my Jomar Wholesale Passes palette. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I ordered a Passes palette from Jomar Wholesale, I don't know, I want to say like 3-4 months ago maybe at this point, and I did an entire spreadsheet for my palette just so I could keep track of it. So this is relatively the same, the brand, description, size. None of this stuff is in the inventory system just because I haven't gotten around to it. I know where it all is, it's very easy to get to, but I haven't gotten around to putting anything into the inventory system, which is fine. I then have the measurements here, like the other one, and then price. And then just an empty column here. And then I have sold for, gross profit, net profit. Of course, I don't have my net profit because I just felt like it wasn't really that important to include. And I'm still in the middle of processing stuff as well, so I don't really know exactly how much I spent per item yet. I kind of focus on the sold for and gross profit columns just because those are the most important. But I can scroll down here, and this is everything I got in my Passes palette. And then I have kind of a color coding system in my head. Green is stuff that has sold. In my thrift store like sub sheet, I don't keep my like sold items in the sheet because it just gets too long, but on my Jomar palette one, I do keep it in here so that I can keep track of how much I profited on the actual palette. But you can scroll down, and that's what green means, and then this means it's listed, haven't sold yet. And then we scroll down more, we have a gray. Gray means it's not listed, so this is all stuff from my palette that is not listed yet. And then we have here titled flip lots. Each color is a different flip lot. The palette had so much stuff that I offloaded quite a bit of it to flip. So these are all different flip lots that stuff is in. And then once it sells, it gets moved up here to the top and it turns green. And so I can keep track of exactly how much profit I've made from the palette. My next sub column is entitled Wholesale Boxes. Now this is specifically all Jomar Wholesale boxes, and I'm going to scroll back to the top, and as you can see, I have the same exact thing going on: brand, description, size. This is like inventory, bin, and letter. Again, I just didn't label it for some reason. Then I have the measurements, the price, the weight again, which I'm not really using. And then I have sold for, profit, and total profit after what I paid for the item. So again, I have the same little color coding system. Right here, I write the box that I received, how much I paid for it, what the item per item was, and the date. And then the red means that I donated it. It had a flaw. I didn't want to sell it, whatever the case. That's what red means. I donated it. I didn't sell it. Green, of course, means it's sold. And then the white means it has not sold yet. So this is another Jomar box, and then you can see another one, and then you keep going down. These are all the different Jomar boxes that I've received. This is every single one I've received ever. I think I've maybe deleted one, but you can keep on scrolling and just see all of the boxes I've received. And then you'll see right here, this is an item that is not listed yet because it is stained, and I can get it out. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm really bad at getting around to fixing stained and flawed items. You can see another one here. But as I keep scrolling down, you can see all of the different Jomar boxes, and that's how I kind of keep track of each box and what I'm making on each individual box. And my next subcategory is consignment. This is where I keep track of all of my flipped consignment lots. I have it separate just to kind of keep track of each individual client, but the only thing in this first thing here missing is the bin letter and the bin number, because those things are in their own individual boxes. To keep them separate, just so it's easier if I return the items or need to donate them or whatever, it's all separate, so that is easier for me. But you can see again, green means it's sold, and then over here I have sold for, my commission, client commission. If you scroll down, this is really all my flip stuff, and you can see all my clients, and this is all the stuff that's sold, this is all the stuff listed. And then if I scroll up just a little bit, if there's a red item, it means it came damaged and I marked it as damaged. If there are blue items, this just means it's time for it to get relisted. So this specific lot here, this just got extended today, so it needs to get relisted today because it basically had gone another 45 days, and then it will be relisted to go another 45 days. The color coordination is kind of all in my head. You can make a key for yourself if you decide to use this kind of thing, but I've been using these color coding for years, so I kind of know exactly what the colors mean. So that's kind of how I keep track of my consignment. It makes it very, very easy. Lets me keep track of all of my stuff. And then one thing I really, really like about using the Google Sheets is I can drag this here and know exactly how much someone's making. So I've made $185 on this specific lot here, and I can just drag that down and see exactly how much I'm making, which is very, very helpful. And the final subcategory I have is entitled Flip. These are all of my lots that I've sent into Flip, and these are all my people selling for me. As you can see, some of them are doing pretty good. I kind of know what's paid for shipping. This one is doing terrible, as you can see. This one sold nothing. This one's doing okay. This one's doing okay. But this is kind of how I keep track of my own Flip ones as well, just so that I can see who's actually profiting, who's not profiting, do I need to end it early, do I need to extend it, all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of how I keep track of the flip lots that I send into Flip. So those are all of the inventory sheets, spreadsheets, sub-spreadsheets, whatever you want to call it. They all are kind of the same but differ in their own ways. I keep track of all of my stuff here in this one spreadsheet, so I have one thing. I don't have to switch between this and this and this to find things. This makes it very, very easy when I'm shipping, relisting, listing on eBay, just listing regularly. It just works out. This has worked for me for so long, and I definitely recommend getting a spreadsheet that works for you to just help you organize all of your inventory. So we're gonna go back to the screen recording now, and we're gonna go to the individual monthly sales sheets to see exactly how I keep track of my individual monthly sales. So I'm gonna show you guys July, because we're in July right now, and this is 100% my real month. This is what I'm doing this month. As you can see, at the top I have just July 2021 sales to know exactly what month it is. In the second row I have item, which is in column A. This just describes what sold. In column B I have what it sold for. This is exactly what it sold for. These right here where it has a dash is a flip item, so I didn't sell it, I just profited on it. The next column is column C. That is the fee. This is the fee that Poshmark Mercari takes. Of course, here I'm not paying a fee, so it's not there. This is a $5 Poshmark fee. This is a $4.43 Mercari fee. That's kind of my platforms. Next is profit. This is how much I made after the fee is subtracted. Not after what I paid for the item is subtracted, just the fee. The next column is the platform. I just write down where it sold. So Poshmark, Flip, Mercari. I think that's kind of it for this month. Sometimes I have Facebook Marketplace, but typically it's just Poshmark, Mercari, and Flip. Column F is Flip commission. So this is the commission that I pay out to my consignment clients. I just like to keep track of it because that's a really big part of my business, and you'd be surprised how much you're actually paying out to other people versus what you're actually keeping. So I like to keep track of it. So one thing I really love is you can drag down all this and see exactly how much you've either profited or you sold, or maybe it's the fees. So you can come down here and do sum, and it's $173. You can drag it all the way down. You can do exactly how much profit you made, all the fees you paid, and the sold for. I tally that up at the end of the month and then input it into my overall sales sheet, and it makes doing the taxes for everything very, very simple, and it just makes everything a little easier, and you can kind of see your months, how they were doing, how it differed from last month, how the month after that differed from the month before, and all that kind of stuff. So I just really like keeping track on Google Docs. It makes it really easy and simple. Also, another thing you can do with this is you can search. So I can search Lululemon if I wanted to see what I sold for Lululemon this month. And here's a Lululemon. You can use these arrows. There's another Lululemon, more Lululemon, Lululemon. I could type in whatever I wanted and it would show me exactly what I sold for that month. So I love keeping track of my monthly sales, keeps me very organized, keeps me on top of it, and helps me hit my goals. We're now going to jump on over to the 2021 overall expenses spreadsheet. This is another very important spreadsheet. As you can see, I did delete most of my information off this spreadsheet. I kind of just copied and pasted it just so you guys didn't see all of my information. I know I share a lot of numbers with you guys, but some numbers I'm just not willing to share, and this is one of those. So I left in these first few months when we were in COVID times and I wasn't really doing much. So basically this is the overall spreadsheet of my expenses and my mileage. So the first column is the date that I purchased whatever it is I purchased. The column B is clothing, so this is going to be inventory that I purchased to resell. So on the first, I spent $272.55 on inventory. So that, I think it was probably a Jomar box, it looks to be. And then column C is mileage. So I will write down if I drove to the post office, if I went to the thrift store. So you can see here on row 6, I spent $110 and I drove 16 miles to get it. I went to the thrift store, I guess. And then column D is materials. This is tape, this is storage units, this is bins, this is whatever it is I use to ship, to store, whatever that is not inventory goes in materials. So as you can see, I bought a few things here. If I drove to get those things, I would put mileage in. But this overall expenses and mileage spreadsheet is extremely helpful for taxes. A lot of people, I don't think, keep track of this kind of things, and my mom is an accountant and she taught me everything I know about how to make my taxes easy for her to do, and this is what we came up with, and this is how she likes me to do it, because then in the end you can just drag the totals and go down to the bottom like I showed you in the other one, and you can kind of see exactly how much you spent on inventory, on materials, and how much mileage you drove. And when you're doing taxes, it makes it extremely easy in the end, instead of you going through a million receipts trying to figure out, okay, where did I go this day? I drove this many miles and this and this. And like I said, my mom is an accountant. I'm not an accountant. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm just telling you guys this is what has worked for me, and it makes it very easy to do the taxes when April comes around. And finally, I'm going to shoot you guys back to the screen recording, and we're going to go over the 2021 overall sales spreadsheet. Now, this spreadsheet is my favorite spreadsheet to use. You can see at the top here I have 2021 overall sales. You can also see I have no numbers in this spreadsheet. I did not want to share any of my overall numbers with you guys. That is a personal business decision. I do share a lot of numbers with you guys, more than a lot of other resellers, so I don't mind hiding a couple things from you guys, but this is kind of how I keep track of all of my overall sales. So I have this at the top, and I have it kind of a little color coded and cute, but the first thing here is the month. So I have each month laid out individually, and then I have gross sales. So this is my sales before the fees are taken out, before my cost of goods, before everything. So if I sold something for $25 on Poshmark, that is my gross sales. Keep track of gross sales. I don't really look at gross sales too much because there's fees taken out, there's all kinds of things taken out before you actually see what you made. Next is fees. This is all of the app fees, Poshmark, Mercari, whatever it is. I add them all up each month and put it into here. My next column is flip consignment. This is actually a new column that I've added in couple months ago when I started using Flip. This is where I add up all of my Flip consignment totals and I put them here. Everything I paid out to other people goes in this column, which has added up to be quite a bit. So just keep in mind when you're doing consignment to keep track of what you're actually paying out to other people as well. The next column is cost of goods. This is all of my inventory. Things I buy to sell go in this column, and then this next column is expenses. This is whether, like I said in the other one, this is tape, mailers, if I need like more bins, if I need another shelving unit, all that goes under expenses. And then the last column is net profit, which is how much I take home in my pocket. So each month, this is how I do these things. So I'll do my gross sales, which is how much I made. And if I go back over here to July, I literally just drag down this column, and these are my gross sales. I drag down that whole column, I insert it into here. I then drag down my fees, so I drag down fees, and then I insert it into here. And then flip consignment. I go back to this sheet, I drag down flip consignment, I enter it into here. I then go to cost of goods, I go to my expenses, I drag down here, and I enter it right in here. I then go to expenses, I do the same exact thing with materials, drag down there, enter the total number into here. And then at the very end, you're going to take the gross sales, subtracted the fees, subtract consignment, subtract cost of goods, subtract expenses, and that is when you get your net profit, which is what you actually profit. That's what you actually make. So that was the 2021 overall sales sheet. This sheet is very important to me. I think it's probably the most important sheet, to be honest, just because it gives you a look at your year in full so you can see exactly how well you did. When I'm explaining the gross sales and net profit, this is where a lot of resellers I think go wrong, because they think, yeah, if you sell an item for $25, oh yeah, I profited $20. That's not really how it works, because you need to subtracted the Poshmark fee already, but you paid for that item, you had to ship that item, you had expenses that you had to pay for to ship that item, and then you have a net profit. That's why I take all of my monthly items, add them up, and then subtract them, and that's my net profit, because that's exactly how much I'm making and pocketing, and that's really the number that's important to me. So this is an overall great way to keep track of your monthly sales, your overall sales, your inventory, everything. If you want to copy any of these spreadsheets I have, go right ahead. I created these all 100% myself. It took me a while to kind of perfect them and get them working how I wanted to, but I finally have perfected them. I've been using these for a couple years, and I think they work great. It helps me keep track of all my stuff perfectly. Of course, everything works different for different people, so some things that are working for me or that are in my spreadsheet will not be in your spreadsheet, and that's fine. This is just how I do it, how I keep track of it, and exactly what works for me. I know a ton of you guys have actually requested this video, so I hope I covered everything and all the questions you guys had. If anything is not clear, I didn't cover something, you have another question, just go ahead and leave them down below and I will get to you as soon as possible. You can also shoot me a message on Instagram. I try to answer as fast as I possibly can. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you learned a lot, you got some new information, and hopefully maybe a couple new practices in your business. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next week.